We also welcome Chief Ward-Swanigan's mother, Diana Cavett, and brother, Wofford Ward. And a very special thank you to all Chief Ward-Swanigan's friends and other family that have traveled from everywhere to be here today. We are also privileged to have with us several distinguished guests. From the 412 Test Wing, Colonel Matthew Kaspers, Vice Commander. Mr. Daniel Osborne, Senior Technical Director. And from the 39th Air Base Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Justin Stoltzfus, Command Chief, and his wife Jessica. From our Community Liaison Program members, Mrs. Christina Scrivener. And Mr. Tom Wheel via virtual. From our, we must applaud him too, yes, correct. From our Civilian Military Support Group, Mr. Matthew Winheim, President and his guest, Miss Elena Graham. And Board of Directors, Mr. Al Hoffman and Miss Kathy Hart via virtual. Also, a warm welcome to all commanders, senior enlisted leaders, first sergeants, and members of Team Edwards for taking the time to be here today. Ladies and gentlemen, Brigadier General Hager.
So there's a salutation that at this point in my remarks I would give, but instead of giving it to you, I'm going to say that I was greeted with that salutation multiple times today in a "Good morning, sir. How are you?" And for those of you that have heard me speak some or a little or interacted with me a lot, you know that I actually answer that question. I don't just treat it as a, "Hey, dude, what's up?" And so when asked that question this morning, most of those were outside. I looked around and went, "Wow, that's a great, beautiful day in the Aerospace Valley. A bright blue sky, a great day for producing next generation air power and training next generation testers and all the other things that we do here." But my answer, as I thought to myself the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth time that I got asked this morning, "How are you?" was, this is a bittersweet day. It's a bittersweet day for me. I've had an amazing wingman for the last 2 years here. It's a bittersweet day for our wing. You know what her impact is, and you'll get to hear a little bit more about that here in a few minutes. It's a bittersweet day for our installation, but it's not just impact on this installation that this command chief has had. It's impact at all Department of the Air Force installations in the state, and soon all remote and isolated installations in the entirety of the continental United States that will miss this command chief and this leader. And yes, it is a bittersweet day for our Air Force. As she steps off into promotion to civilian, there's an opportunity for another chief to attempt to fill her boots. And that chief will leave a gap and it'll ripple down and someone will get an opportunity. But wow, those are some serious shoes, some serious boots, some serious talent that has to be stepped up to fill the role that this senior leader has provided for us here the last 2 years and for our Air Force the last 20 plus. So with that as my opening thought, I want to add a couple thanks and a couple welcomes. If you had a part in today's ceremony and you're not already standing, stand up or raise your hand so that we can thank you, because these things don't just happen. So if you're an escort, you're a proffer, he's behind me standing, come on. And we owe you the appropriate round of thank you. If you're attending virtually and you helped us set up the hangar, the displays here, these beautiful displays of tactical American air power, best two fighters in the planet, one man's opinion at least, along with serious long-range strike. There's a lot here in this hangar, a lot here that we have to be proud of, and a lot that we have to be thankful for. But all of this pales in comparison to my gratitude, and I would say our gratitude, to the leader that I share the stage with this morning. So you have in front of you a program. If you have not read her bio already, you're wrong. Read it. You're not going to offend me if you're reading that. I'd rather you read that than that other thing that you have in your hand that is tempting you to read it as well. Read it. Read her bio. Ignore mine. And pay attention to where she's been and what she's done that's on one piece of paper. And after you've read that bio, I want you to pay very particular attention to the words in her Legion of Merit that I am going to present to her here shortly. And then I want you to pay attention to the words and the meaning and the symbolism, but in her progression through the ranks that you'll see in the ceremony later. I ask you to read her bio. I ask you to pay particular attention to the words in the Declaration Citation for Legion of Merit and to the ceremony that'll happen afterwards, because I'm not going to repeat those. There's a ton there. And you know it already, as I do. This is a phenomenal leader that has had a phenomenal career. She has exemplified, personally exemplified, at every step and at every rank, integrity first. She is a living example, especially the last 18 months to 2 years, but a living example of service before self. I would argue a lot of people today equate those or get them in the wrong order. That is not the case for this amazing senior leader seated to my left. Service before self. And yes, this is the chief that pulled me aside and said, "Hey, sir, we need a first quarter of excellence in all we do." Yes, chief, I agree. Let's make that happen. And so to her last assignment, to her last year of active duty, she has also pushed us all, me included, to be excellent in everything we do, including pointing out when things aren't excellent and finding out a way to let's never do that again, or find out a way to make sure that we learn from that if we weren't excellent in what we did. So, Chief, you literally personify our service core values. There's a couple other things that I think you personify quite well. For those of you that haven't seen it, I'm not going to go into a PME lecture on it, but there's this little thing that I suspect Airman Basic Ward got in tech school. Some of you have this. For those of you that don't know what it is, ask the people that have worn a uniform like yours or mine. It's called The Little Brown Book, and the title is The Enlisted Force Structure. But I tell you, the book is so much more than its title. If I had a career to use as a vignette or an example of what this looks like in a person, in an airman, it's Denisha Ward-Swanigan. When you look at the developing model that's talked about in here, she developed self, and along the way, she developed others. She developed others as peers. She developed others as a mentor. To say she developed orgs is a massive understatement. And one of the ways you develop orgs is you command it. She hasn't done that. But you also support the commander, and she has done that in spades, oftentimes in ways that most people have never known or never seen. She's also developed ideas, and I would say ideas also include our culture. She's challenged us, she's pushed us, and she's developed culture. And if you look at what's in this, at its core, that is the growth path of an airman, and you couldn't find a better airman's career than this one to show how that works and how it strings together over 2 decades of selfless service. So she didn't just get to basic training and magically it all happened. She had to have a foundation. And for that, I owe great thanks to all of you. I guess 2 of you weren't around yet, but to the rest of you that are here for her family. Airmen that arrived to us, be it officer training school, the academy, ROTC, or basic military training, like this one did, arrive as a civilian. And they depart that initial training as a member of our military, but their core values as they leave after those first few weeks or maybe a couple years are mostly driven by the core values that they arrived to the service with. And Miss Diana, that is entirely because of you and your generation that impacted her as a very young person. It's obvious in her early record of performance. your fingerprints and what you imparted on her as a young person and a young member of our society. Thank you for doing that. I know there's a non-trivial role that siblings play in that as well. Mr. Lee, it was great to get to talk to you a little bit yesterday. Siblings are both a blessing and a curse, I remember. I think she treats you as much more of the blessing than the curse. And maybe those are older days when you were about their ages, right? So I would say to, as Dee calls you, her R&R, if you look for a great model of what siblings grow up to be, you can have no better model of your uncle and your mom. So thank you for getting her to us in that state. And thank you for supporting her along her journey, because we don't do this alone. Literally, life is a team sport. Being an airman is a team sport. Being a leader is a team sport. And you have been on her team in spades, whether you've been around the world from her, whether you've been wondering if she's safe while she was at one of her 3 deployments, or whether you've been close aboard. She has greatly appreciated, needed, and benefited from your wingmanship and your teaming with her. Certainly the last to rejoin the formation, but of huge impact, Stevie. You guys are phenomenal. Her previous commander and I are very good friends, and he said, Matt, when you watch these two together, it's going to be a joy to just watch them. And he's right. I don't know if I call him Mr. Apple or Santa Claus or what, but Rich Apple, if you're watching, you were right, and Stevie, you and Dee are amazing. Keep us posted. I know you can do great things as a team, because life is a team sport. You got some awesome teammates right there, Dee. Round of applause for Dee's family that got her here and that are going to take her forward into the future, please. Thank you for giving us this amazing airman. As I mentioned, as you read her bio, because I noticed all of you are looking at me now, not the paper, so good on you for paying attention. And you listened to her decoration citation and also the progression through her career that you're going to see in the ceremony later. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time repeating what's in there. But I do want to highlight a couple things, and I'm going to frame it in, I don't know what the Air Force is going to end up calling it. Are they airman leadership qualities? Are they major performance areas? Are they major graded areas? I don't know. But they boil down to 4 core pillars. And those pillars, in no particular order, are people, mission, resources, and improvement. And when I look through her record and what I know about her personally, I look at the improvement that she's done in just this tour alone for the state of California and all the airmen, active guard and reserve airmen in the state of California. Dee, your leadership as we operationalize the Department of the Air Force California Installation Commanders Caucus, or DAF-CIC, had impact at 7 installations in 2 services and 5 different MAJCOMs. Because of that forum and your leadership in that forum when I was not able to be there, that forum fed information to members of our congressional delegation, which literally resulted in federal law in 2022 that mandated all military trailing spouses for all career fields, save one, lawyers. Their licenses are now required to be honored in the state that they travel to. Because of the work that that organization did, because of the leadership that this chief did leading up to that. That's a massive impact. And when I said earlier, this base, this wing, this state, and our service will be I've benefited from you, that is just one example. She's also sown the initial seeds that we are going to have to grow and tender and mature and trim to do the same thing, not just for Department of the Air Force installations in California, but for every single remote and isolated installation in CONUS. There are thousands, tens of thousands of airmen and their families, Dee, that will benefit from the groundwork that you have started and the soil you have tilled in that area. And you have improved our lives. You have improved those bases. You have improved those units in your short time here. And that is but one example of 20 plus years of improving the units that have been blessed to have you serving them. From a resources perspective, I will tell you, it is amazing to watch her keep it real in senior leader conferences at the Air Force level and at the major command level. Some of you are old enough to remember the E.F. Hutton commercials. When E.F. Hutton speaks, people listen. The 21st century version of that is when a chief stands up at SLC, people listen. And when it's that chief, they really listen. Dee, the things that you know that have happened in the MAJCOM because of your very precise language has been massive across the entirety of our command. It's been a pleasure serving with you in those forums, and also you tugging on my shirt and like, sit down now, sir, sit down now, sit down. You don't need to say that. So thanks for keeping me real at those conferences as well. You have helped the folks that live in this area but work in this building, that wear the uniform of the civilian airmen, rightfully and fully and finally recognize the supplemental salary rate that they so rightly have earned and deserve. And the diversion of those resources properly is something that you can have great pride in. Another thing that happened in this facility, literally in this facility, and it was like right here where there were Battle of the Robots happening, and there was a play place over there, and there was a medical tent over there. Many of you remember what I'm talking about. The first open house here in 13 years was last October. What did Dee do? Dee said, I'm going to take the Chiefs, and we're going to go find you a whole bunch of folks that are selflessly serving our community and doing what we can do to recruit the next generation of STEM experts. And we did that, and you did that for 23,000 youth below age 18 that attended in this hangar those STEM events that were part of the open house. I wish it had happened before you and I left our jobs, but I think the apartments are actually going to close, so I'm not going to curse it and predict the future. But if that happens, when that happens, you got to come back and sit in the back row with me. I'll probably have a beard by then, and we can cheer on the folks at the podium when we do the groundbreaking for the apartment complex. It's gonna happen. I feel it. I just don't want to curse it by giving it a time. And then let's talk about mission. As you all know, we have been leading you in 4 combat fronts for more than 2 years, and we retired one of those on May 12th. That was the pandemic combat front. But the other 3, Dee has been leading tremendously in. There's our primary mission set, the modernization fight, the fight of 2030. You'll see in her bio and here in her declaration the impact that the airmen have had that she has enabled, because she takes care of them so they can take care of the mission. And it is literally true in Dee's case that has been her primary focus. But she also helps in the other 2 combat fronts. One is have ready airmen today to deploy today to fight tonight. She's done that personally. She's also enabled it here. She's helped folks not worry about the home front while they were downrange. And as a veteran of multiple combat deployments to OEF and OAF herself, she's been there, done that, and understands what it's like to be the deployed member, but also be the left behind member with the family. And that support has helped the Deploy Today to Fight Tonight mission. But the other thing a lot of you don't know is our 4th combat front, and that is cyber. We are literally blessed to have a command chief that is literally a cyber warrior, right? She did start as a med tech, false start, I think, and then immediately diverted into an area where you just lit, right? It was amazing to read what was written about you. And in that career field, she hit Master Sergeant by the 13-year mark, wearing it. Senior NCO in just over a decade. A chief just a few years after that. She's in her 6th lap around the sun with chief stripes on, retiring in her early 20s. Think about how impressive that is. And she did that as a cyber warrior, as a leader of cyber warriors, fighting 24/7, 365 in the cyber domain. And she didn't just fight from some nice place in San Antonio. She fought in cyber at Osan. She fought in cyber at headquarters USAFE. She fought in cyber in probably places we can't talk about in the special operations world as a part of AFSOC. She has literally personified and been on the front lines in cyber in that 4th combat front. And the last area that I want to talk about are people. Boy, there have been some people that have benefited from your love, including your tough love. I know that as a former vice commander, that vice commander right there and his predecessor greatly appreciate your partnership in the forums that you two get. Is that the right word, Kit? Get to chair? Where we care for people, some of them in their most needing times. You cared for people and you led people as the Major Graded Area 2 lead in our well-performed, well-documented, and accoladed capstone evaluation, our continuous evaluation. Thank you for picking up that mantle and leading the people so well there. There's a bunch of examples. The Civilian Employee Support Liaison, or CECLs. You operationalized that. Dano talked about that a little bit last night. I'm so proud that you guys were able to knock that out of the park here. And then I'll say the last one is the diamonds here have greatly appreciated from your people care and people leading as well, including, I might say, you getting and recruiting and building the AFMC First Sergeant of the Year. And that is in no small part because of the recruiting, the mentoring, but more importantly, the writing, or most importantly, the writing that you have helped do, documenting what our exceptional first sergeants do at this remote and isolated base. And then the last thing in the people lane, which if you've not been a commander and you've not been a chief, you may not understand that this chief has done exceptionally well, is she's walked into multiple commanders' rooms, offices, cars, and said, hey, ma'am, hey, sir, got a minute? And those of you that have been a commander know what's next as the chief closes the door. I'm not going to tell you what those conversations have been like because that's between me and my chief, but I have benefited from those. I know your last boss greatly benefited. He might not have listened as much, but he benefited a lot from that time as well, and all the other commanders that you've served in that capacity. So thank you so much for doing that. And that's just a summary of what she's done in the last few months, last 20 months, and her rope is loaded with that over 20 years. The last thing that I want to highlight to all of you as we look back at where Dee was and how long she was at those places is that she went from BMT through Shepherd to Lackland for a year, 7th Air Force and other places at Osan for 2 years. And she was at Eglin for 6, remembering the old 96th Air Base Wing, 4 years at Patrick, 3 years at USAFE in Ramstein, 5 years at the 1st SAO at Herbie, a 2-year detour en route to Edwards where she's been for 2 years and counting. That's in her record. That's in her bio. But what I wanted to say to you is that she will walk off stage today confident because she has given you not just a role model and an example, but a path that you can follow, airmen, and airmen of all ranks and all uniforms. She's given you that path. She's shown you that path. We heard a very heartfelt example of a mentee of hers that has been inspired literally because of the path that Dee has plowed. So airmen, look at what you do, look at what you can do, and know that you can also make it happen because of the leaders that have plowed the path before you, exceptionally so, and this is one of those, and I would argue one of the best I've ever worked with and had the pleasure of serving with. All right, I want to hit a couple other highlights here before I get off the stage. Dee, this place is so much better because of you. I am better because of you. The top 5 is better because of you. It's been an amazing dream team the last year as our top 5 organization. The chiefs tell me the same thing. The first sergeants tell me the same thing. We wish you Godspeed. We wish you all the best as you transition into your next promotion or phase or whatever your euphemism is for retirement. Oh, by the way, that's the wrong word. She's not actually going to retire. I know it. She knows it. Stevie knows it, right? But enjoy that transition. Enjoy that. As you heard Chaplain Clark say, there's a great phrase in the book, capital T, capital B in the book, that paraphrases or rhymes with something like, well done, my good and faithful soldier. Please join me.
Thank you, General Hager. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the Legion of Merit and remain standing for the reading of the retirement order.
Publish the order.
Attention to orders. This is to certify that the Legion of Merit has been awarded to Chief Master Sergeant Denisha S. Ward-Swanigan. Chief Master Sergeant Denisha S. Ward-Swanigan distinguished herself by exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Command Chief, 412th Test Wing, Air Force Test Factory employees arrayed across 9 groups and 36 squadrons, including the United States Air Force Test Pilot School, set a leadership benchmark. Furthermore, employing her devout passion for people, she diligently advocated for service members and their families in Command Chief forums and the Department of the Air Force's California Installation Commanders Caucus, confronting arcane federal and state roadblocks impacting quality of life, housing, dependent education, recruiting, and retention of airmen. Among the numerous results of her efforts, the Veterans Auto and Education Improvement Act of 2022 established military spouse licensure portability across all 50 states. She was also key to the stand-up of the Air Force's first civilian employee support liaison positions, directly supporting 65,000 civilian airmen across Air Force Materiel Command, Finally, Chief Ward-Swanigan's ceaseless efforts ensured near-flawless execution of the 2022 Aerospace Valley Open House, commemorating the 75th anniversary of supersonic flight and hosting the largest science, technology, engineering, and mathematics expo in the United States Air Force history. This world-class event drew 100,000 visitors, including 23,000 children, and showcased the exceptional, selfless patriots who fuel American air power at the center of the aerospace testing universe. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Chief Ward-Swanigan cultivate a distinguished career in the service of her country and reflect great credit upon herself and the United States Air Force.
Ladies and gentlemen. Look at it. Doesn't it look awesome?
We will now publish the official retirement order.
She's ready to jump. We have witnesses. Publish the order.
Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force Special Order Number Alpha Charlie-000116. By order of the Secretary of the Air Force, effective 30 September 2023, you are relieved from active duty, 412th Test Wing, Edwards Air Force Base, California. Retired effective 1 October 2023 per Air Force Instruction 36-3203 in the grade of Chief Master Sergeant. Please be seated. At this time, General Hager will present the retirement certificate to Chief Ward-Swanigan, which reads, Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall see these presents, greeting. This is to certify that Chief Master Sergeant Denisha S. Ward-Swanigan, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of October 2023. Signed, General Charles Q. Brown, Jr., Chief of Staff of the Air Force, and Brigadier General Matthew W. Hager, Commander, 412th Test Wing. Stevie, will you please come forward and join us on stage? Every retiree receives a special retirement pin as a memento of their active duty service. At this time, we ask you to place this pin on your wife's lapel to symbolize her transition from active duty to retired status. In the future, each time Chief Ward-Swanigan wears her uniform or business attire, this pin will serve to remind all that she served faithfully and earned her retirement. The pin indicates she is still a member of the Air Force, but now serves in retired status. Chief Ward-Swanigan, please wear this pin proudly on any occasion in which you represent the Air Force. In addition to her retirement pin or certificate, Chief Ward-Swanigan received a certificate of appreciation from the Commander-in-Chief, President Joseph Biden, and a certificate of appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Joanne S. Bass. Anyone associated with the armed forces knows the ups and downs of military life affect not only the military member, but also their spouse and children. The family must endure frequent moves and extended absences from their loved ones, all the while taking care of the family and home. Stevie, it is the loving dedication and support from spouses like you that allow us to serve our country with pride. The Air Force recognizes that your undying dedication and support were invaluable to your wife and to the United States Air Force. To acknowledge the extent of our appreciation, we present this certificate, which reads, In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate of recognition to Stevie Swanigan for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Signed, Brigadier General Matthew W. Hager, Commander, 412th Test Wing. And signed, General Charles Q. Brown, Jr., Chief of Staff, United States Air Force. Additionally, Stevie received a certificate of appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Joanne S. Bass. At this time, we welcome Ronan and Raina to join their mother on the stage. Her children are being presented with certificates, which read, "For your mother's numerous contributions and commitments that have made positive impacts to our nation's defense, her sacrifice to our country came with long hours and sacrifices. Thank you for the support which gave strength and purpose to your mother's service." Signed, Brigadier General Matthew W. Hager, Commander, 412th Test Wing. Thank you, Stevie, Ronan, and Raina. We would now like to invite Chief's mother, Mrs. Cavett, to the stage. Chief Ward-Swanigan would like to present her mother with a letter of appreciation to show her love and gratitude for her support during her career, which reads, "For the commitment and numerous contributions that made a positive impact to the nation's defense, it was your understanding, love, and assurance that enabled her to accomplish what was important. Your support to her across 13 bases and 25 years have enabled her honorable career." Signed, Brigadier General Matthew W. Hager, Commander, 412th Test Wing. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, General in Chief. At this time, the 412th Test Wing will now offer a tribute to Chief Ward-Swanigan and to the flag of the United States of America. We ask that you please remain seated and draw your attention to our retirement ceremony flag detail as they bring forward our nation's flag. For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white, in a blue field representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor. White signifies purity and innocence. And blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally, a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the stars and stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies on constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe, and on the fin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on lands and skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we as Americans enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all. Long may it wave.
Approaching from the rear, Miss Darcy Painter represents Chief Ward-Swanigan's military training instructor. Denisha S. Ward became Airman Basic on January 28, 1998. She attended basic military training at Lackland Air Force Base, Texas, and the Medical Services Technical Training at Shepherd Air Force Base, Texas. Promoted July 28, 1998, Airman Ward was assigned to the 59th Surgical Operations Squadron, Lackland Air Force Base, Texas, as a medical service apprentice in the largest post-anesthesia care unit in the Air Force. Airman Ward performed general nursing care to over 30 patients daily. Her keen observation skills and quick decisiveness were critical to the prevention of advanced post-operative complications. Beginning May 28, 1999, Airman First Class Ward was lauded as a proven solid performer as she worked diligently with minimal supervision and utilized sound teaching principles to maximize learning experiences for 10 clinical phase students, precepting them to the rigors of patient care and ensuring successful treatment and outcomes. Not only was she a dedicated team player on the job, but her selflessness was also further displayed as she volunteered off-duty time to assist other medical units, earning her a letter of appreciation by the 59th Surgical Operations Squadron Nurse Manager. Reaching the top of the Airman tier, January 28, 2001. Senior Airman Ward's persistence finally paid off as she eagerly transitioned from patient care to computer system administration. She was considered an outstanding administrator in the 51st Communications Squadron, Osan Air Base, Republic of Korea, where she provided direct customer support to headquarters, 7th Air Force, 51st Fighter Wing, and 13 Tenet units. Airman Ward led the charge in the wing's transition to the Defense Messaging System, where she was responsible for the installation, configuration, operation, and maintenance of classified and unclassified messaging applications and servers. Her team's effort and coordination of message resource outages and customer service issued enabled sustained command and control for the 7th Air Force Commander and Indo-Pacific Air Forces region. Staff Sergeant Denisha Ward took the non-commissioned officer charge on August 1st, 2002. As a help desk analyst in the 96th Communications Squadron, she and her team acted as the first line of resolution and primary point of contact, serving over 20,000 customers on Eglin Air Force Base, Duke Field, and Site C6. Her supervisor described her as a true professional, outstanding leader, and exemplar of excellence in all we do, as she greatly contributed to the organization and the community. While leading an 11-member team in various security programs, Airman Ward was selected to represent the flight during a senior leadership brief and was the recipient of the Technician of the Month Award 4 times in the same rating period. Additionally, in garrison, and while forward deployed to Doha, Qatar, she managed cryptographic databases and systems, supporting secure worldwide communications for Central Command headquarters and 15 deployed communications security accounts. Beginning July 1st, 2006, Technical Sergeant Ward assumed greater responsibility as a non-commissioned officer in charge of the 96th Communications Squadron's Information Protection Office. She and the team provided base network security and direct support to 7 wings, over 45 Tenet units, and 19,500 customers. During her time at Eglin, she also deployed to Al Dhafra Air Base, United Arab Emirates, to prepare 18 communications security accountants and lead the team through an annual inspection. Her technical expertise and superb leadership proved essential in arming the Predator and Global Hawk warfighters to execute support for operations Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. On May 1st, 2011, she ascended to the senior non-commissioned officer tier, where she served as a certification and accreditation manager for the United States Air Forces in Europe Air Forces Africa Command, located at Ramstein Air Base, Germany. Master Sergeant Ward ensured the security of all communication networks by enforcing annual compliance of 23 unique systems. She developed their first certification accreditation training plan and certified 37 circuit enclave packages, which were key to executing the command's cybersecurity objectives and her selection as the Air Force Outstanding Information Assurance Program Manager for 2012 and 2013. Promoted November 1st, 2015, Senior Master Sergeant Ward quickly rose from the Plans and Programs Flight Chief role, followed by the Operations Flight Chief, where she led 144 airmen and directed Herbert Field's communication focal point and provided oversight of base network support. Sergeant Ward and her team reinforced network operability for 12,000 users to include Headquarters Air Force Special Operations Command, by managing the operation and maintenance of network security and information technology infrastructure. On September 1st, 2018, Senior Ward became Chief Master Sergeant Ward. As a senior enlisted leader of the Special Operations Communications Squadron, Chief Ward provided oversight for the wing's command control, computer, and communications capability, and leadership for 197 multi-capable cyber airmen. She provided vital management experience regarding the organizing, training, equipping, and mobilization of the unit to execute 3,000 expeditionary mission requirements in support of 4 areas of responsibility. From there, she later served as the Mission Support Group's senior enlisted leader of a data mast unit, leading to the selection for her current role. Shaping leaders along the way, her advocacy for and support of over 12,000 total force airmen and a $1.4 billion portfolio helped her evolve into the woman you see before you today, the Command Chief, 412th Test Wing. Chief Ward-Swanigan, on behalf of the members of the 412th Test Wing, your friends, and your family, we present this flag in recognition of your 25 years of faithful service with the United States Air Force.
Chief will now be presenting this flag, which you saw folded before you today and passed down through each of the rank that her mom supported her, to her mother. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure I present to you Chief Master Sergeant Denisha S. Ward-Swanigan, United States Air Force, retired.
Can I get some tissues first? I know. Just in case. Well, first First and foremost, I have to give all the glory to my Lord and Savior. Thank you, God, for this journey and continuing to guide my steps. Without you, Lord, I wouldn't be here. General Hager, sir, you have no idea. I still don't know if you really realize that I'm just a loud girl from Wichita Falls who used to have 12-inch subwoofers in the trunk. And it's probably why I'm so loud, because I don't think that was good for my hearing. Thank you so much for trusting in me to do this with you and for you and the wing. Thank you to your family. It's been amazing. It's been a journey, and all your support is really appreciated. Or why I am here. People has been very pivotal in my entire life, not just my Air Force life, but my entire life. And so thank you all. Let me just also make sure to highlight the national anthem. Sergeant Merriweather and Josh, you guys, you started the tears welling up. That was amazing. Thank you for doing that. And thank you, Chaplain Clark, for your amazing words, your kind words, and all the words that we've shared throughout my tenure here. It's been great. I hope I don't forget anybody. I'm going to get to you all, but they say that you'll know when it's time. And as I prepare to transition from 25 plus years of doing something that I truly love, that I find rewarding, here's what I know. I know that I love the Air Force. I love serving. I love service. And it's been a great journey full of blessings and favor. Fortunately for me, great leaders of all ranks have intentionally been placed on my path. They've been phenomenal, and they've created opportunities, and they've believed in me. I know that the leadership journey that took hold of me a long time ago was easier because it aligned with my morals and my values, and that it will remain with me as I go on. Leadership is not just an Air Force thing. It's not just an Air Force way. It's a way of life. I know and recognize that some people are not necessarily aware that you don't just wake up and lead. You have to be deliberate. You have to constantly be vulnerable and be willing to make mistakes. And you have to seek out to be effective. Because there's leadership and then there's effective leadership. And I've been just on this journey, this growth journey, to try to be effective, as I've seen many before me do. I came in open general in 1998, as they mentioned, and I ended up in the medical career field And I wasn't sure how that was going to go because I have this condition, and I like to think of it as just a big heart. And I was always afraid to show it. And I knew that being in that career field, it was going to expose me because I hate to see people in pain. And so I ran from that. I was fortunate enough to get into a different career field, but I doubted myself when I was a medic, and I felt like a failure as an airman. And so I prayed about it, and I was fortunate enough to transition. And I've been calm/cyber ever since. And I'm just so grateful. I've grown a lot more than I expected. In my early days as being a chief, we kind of talked about it a little bit the other day. You're just extremely excited about getting to a point in your career where it hasn't been about you for a while, and you just look forward every day to just giving back and seeing what everyone needs and being able to deliver that. And in the squadron role as the chief there, you kind of felt like you achieved that. You would get what you needed from the group, if you will, and be able to turn around and bring that back to your squadron. At the group level, you kind of feel that same thing. You go to the wing and you turn around with whatever you receive there and give it down to the squadrons. However, at the wing, I had no idea until I stepped into this capacity that you still take the inputs, you still go out, you listen, you make sure people know that you care, and you take that up a notch to the next level. But oftentimes you don't get to turn around and bring it down. Oftentimes it's not at that level. It's not at the level above that even. And so that has been one of the biggest challenges of this assignment, not being able to deliver on some of those things that I know that our airmen and guardians desperately need for themselves and their families. But I hope that you all know, at least, that we never stop fighting. And we won't stop. I'll always be an advocate. And I know General Hager and many of you in the room and many after us are going to keep fighting for what our people need. You have to be that voice. You have to speak up. And I haven't had any problems with that. But being a chief is super fulfilling. And the whole time, anybody that's serving beyond their active duty service commitment, they're doing it because the Air Force gets down in there. It gets down in you, and you just get your fulfillment from knowing that you're making an impact. And it kind of becomes addictive. And you just want to do it more and more. And as you progress through, whether it's ranks or just your scope and scale, you just want to keep raising the bar each time you meet it. And I've been able to do that here. I've been able to do that because of all of you. And I think that any solution that this Air Force needs, this wing needs, this world needs, it's more of a spiritual solution, to be honest. And so, in my eyes, we've always had everything we needed the entire time. We've always had it. If we needed something else, we would have it. And when we get those things, it'll be in due time. And so I just challenge everybody, continue to take the inputs from our people and find out what they need. And then communicate that to the levels that need to hear it. But always guide our people back to the core of why we're here. Guide them back to why they joined. Guide them back to what this is truly about. It's not about what we get, what dress and appearance standards we can change and tweak. It's not about trying to look cool. We got a mission. We have a mission. That's our purpose. And how are we executing on that? Now, if we get these shoes changed, I can get down with that. These shoes are not the ones. You can change that. But the point is, the focus needs to be on our nation, this national defense, all these things. The adversary is busy, and we need to make sure that we're always ready. So let's just remember to focus on what's truly important. I'm going to wrap it up here by saying that my family has sacrificed a lot for me to do what I love. And now I'm going to make a sacrifice to transition all this passion that I have to them. I'm excited and I'm ready to come and keep that same energy that I have for the Air Force and make sure that I have all of that to give to you all. And that I'm not too tired when I get home to do that adequately. Thank you, Stevie, for coming into my life when you did. That was right on time. It's what me and Ronan and Raina needed. You have been a huge support of this. And being prior active duty, I know you understood. And I never once had to battle with that part of this. And so I really appreciate you, and I love you. Raina, my little runner, thank you. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for always having a heart and being a sweetheart. And just doing what you're supposed to do and modeling integrity and service and excellence like we do in the Air Force. Ronan, same to you. My firstborn. I love you. I appreciate the efforts that you guys put in to help me get through this. It's been a journey, but I'm coming home now. Mom, you are the epitome of strength. You always ask where I get things from. I get them from you. I got it from you. Even when you were in my ear in high school about joining the Air Force, I didn't want to hear that. It did not sound good at all. In fact, I think because you were saying it, that was the last thing I wanted to do. That's just where we were. And then when I heard someone else validate it that had served, it pointed me right back to you, Mom. And I was like, she was right. And I'm still here to this day because you put that seed, you planted that seed, and you watered it. And that's what we do in the Air Force. We plant seeds. And I was struggling with leaving. I was struggling, and I was trying to figure out why it was going to be so hard for me. And I think it's because I have this passion for people and leadership. But then I realized that I'm going to take that with me. I got it from you before I joined. I've had it, and I'm going to take it with me. So thank you so much. Dub, Mr. Lee, thank you, bro. Thank you for who you are and being there for me when I needed you, when I needed an ear. Our conversations have helped more than you know. I just regret not having come home enough, come home more, so that we wouldn't have so much catching up to do when we did. But I look forward to our partnership. I look forward to learning from you, getting the mentorship from you on the business side. I'm super proud of you and all you've done, and I know Mom is as well. And so I'm looking forward to getting started with that. Terrence, if you're able to dial in or watch this later, I appreciate you too as well, bro. I know you couldn't make it, but I love you. I'm proud of you and what you do, and I look forward to getting home to spend more time with you. Everybody in the test wing, especially the leaders, the senior leaders, especially the chiefs, especially the first sergeants, and all of your spouses. You all have made sure that while my family wasn't present, I never felt like I didn't have family with me at all times. You've always been there. I always got a text message, somebody checking up, checking in, making sure I'm taking care of me. That really, really, really went a long way, and I genuinely, with all my heart, appreciate all of you. All of you. I appreciate everybody who does what they do for this nation. It's not an easy task sometimes, but don't worry about what your AFSC is. Don't worry about what your rank is. Just focus on who you are, and remember that that's enough, and bring that to the table. Don't dim that light. Bring that to the table, and our Air Force will be fine. It will be all right, because that's what makes it, is the individuals, the uniqueness of each of you. And so I just want everybody to make sure that they pass that on. Always focus people back on themselves and the core of who they are. And that's just, I mean, in general, it doesn't have to be in the Air Force. Our society needs that. All the competition, infighting, and focusing on the wrong things, it's a distractor, and we've got to focus. We've got to focus. But anyway, I think I did pretty good up here. I thought I was going to be a total mess and that I wouldn't be able to read my paper because of all the tears. They're there, trust me. But I want to make sure that I was able to say that I loved all of you. I've loved what I've done, and I'm not I'm not retiring. I'm transitioning into a new phase, a new chapter. Yeah, so look for me. Look for me, make sure I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Please remain standing for the playing of the Air Force song and the departure of the official party.